Wonder by Jason Gray. August 20th, 2026, 6026, Anno Lucis, in the Year of Light. Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. There was a time when almost everything was extraordinary. Not because the world was different, but because we were. There was a time when we could lie on our backs in the grass and stare into the sky without needing a reason. Clouds became animals, faces, castles, and entire worlds. A stick could become a sword. A cardboard box could become a spaceship. A flashlight beneath a blanket could become an entire universe. A puddle was not something to step around. It was another sky beneath our feet. We picked up stones because they looked different from the others. We collected feathers. We watched ants. We caught fireflies. We stared through windows during thunderstorms. We asked where the moon went during the day. We wondered whether animals dreamed. We wanted to know what was underneath everything, behind everything, beyond everything. And most importantly, we believed there was something worth discovering. Then we grew up. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, something happened that almost nobody talks about. The world became ordinary. We were taught to stop wondering. It did not happen all at once. Nobody sat us down and said, "You're getting older now. It is time to stop being amazed." Instead, wonder disappeared gradually. We were taught names, definitions, categories, schedules, rules, responsibilities. We learned that the bright object crossing the night sky was a meteor, that thunder was the rapid expansion of heated air, that rainbows were refractions of light, that trees converted sunlight through photosynthesis, that stars were enormous spheres of plasma, unimaginably far away. And somehow, we began confusing having an explanation for something with having exhausted its mystery. We learned the name and stopped looking. We learned the mechanism and stopped wondering. We learned the answer and stopped asking the question. Knowing what something is called is not the same as understanding the miracle of its existence. A child sees a butterfly and follows it. An adult says, "It's just a butterfly." Just. That may be one of the most dangerous words adulthood teaches us. Just a tree, just rain, just another sunset, just a dog, just an old building, just another day, just another person, just another year. We reduce astonishing things until they fit comfortably inside familiar words. And eventually, we can stand in the middle of something extraordinary and feel almost nothing. The Great Exchange. Growing up requires something from us. We must learn responsibility. We must work, pay bills, keep appointments, solve problems, protect ourselves, plan for tomorrow, carry obligations that childhood protected us from. There's nothing wrong with becoming responsible. The tragedy occurs when responsibility consumes curiosity. We exchange wandering for schedules, curiosity for certainty, imagination for practicality, presence for productivity, questions for conclusions. We stop asking, "What is that?" We begin asking, "What is it worth?" We stop asking, "Where does that road go?" We start asking, "How long will it take?" We stop staring at the moon and start checking the time. We stop listening to thunderstorms because there are emails to answer. We stop watching snowfall because tomorrow we have to shovel it. We stop looking at stars because we have work in the morning. Everything becomes useful or useless, productive or unproductive, profitable or wasteful, and wonder, by its very nature, is inefficient. You cannot optimize staring into a campfire. There is no productivity metric for watching waves. There is no measurable return on lying beneath the stars. You cannot put a monetary value on the moment a child discovers something for the first time. And because adulthood increasingly teaches us to measure the value of everything, we stop making time for the things whose value cannot be measured. When did we stop looking up? Watch children sometime. Really watch them. They look up. Adults look forward or down, at sidewalks, at watches, at phones, at calendars, at the next obligation. Children notice airplanes, birds, clouds, the moon in the daytime, a strange bug on the pavement, a rainbow forming in a sprinkler. They interrupt conversations because something incredible has happened. Look! The adult response is often, yes, I see it. But do we? The child is not interrupting reality. The child is the only person in the room actually paying attention to it. Children still possess the instinct to stop. Adults have learned to keep moving, and eventually we become so busy moving through life that we stop experiencing the life we are moving through. The first time becomes the 1,000th time. Part of the loss of wonder is unavoidable. The first snowfall you remember is different from the 50th. The first time you see the ocean is different from living beside it. The first airplane ride is different from rushing through another airport. Familiarity changes us. The human mind is designed to adapt. What once astonished us becomes normal. There is a hidden danger in adaptation. We begin believing that because something is familiar, it is no longer extraordinary. Consider your own hands. You've seen them thousands of times. You barely notice them, yet somehow thought becomes electrical activity. Nerves activate muscles. Tendons pull bone. Fingers move, and matter rearranges itself according to intention. You think, pick up the cup, and your hand obeys. We call that ordinary only because it happens constantly. The same is true of breathing, dreaming, memory, love, music, language, consciousness. We are surrounded by impossibilities that repetition has disguised as normality. Life gets heavy. There's another reason adults lose wonder. Life hurts. Children eventually discover grief, betrayal, failure, rejection, death, divorce, disappointment, illness, fear. People leave. Dreams collapse. Plans fail. The world reveals itself to be far more complicated than we imagined, and wonder requires vulnerability. To be amazed by something, we must allow ourselves to be affected by it. Adults become guarded. We learn not to get too excited, not to hope too much, not to trust too easily, not to expect things to work out. Cynicism begins disguising itself as intelligence. We mistake emotional distance for wisdom. The person who says, "Nothing surprises me anymore," may sound experienced. There is something profoundly sad hidden inside those words, because a human being who can no longer be surprised has not necessarily understood everything. They have simply stopped allowing the world to reach them. We become embarrassed by amazement. Adults also learn something children do not know: self-consciousness. Children will scream because they see dolphins. They will press their faces against aquarium glass. They will run toward the ocean. They will laugh uncontrollably. They will ask strangers questions. They will dance badly. They will point at the sky. They are not constantly watching themselves from the outside. Adults are. We learn to appear composed, sophisticated, unimpressed. We begin suppressing enthusiasm because we are afraid of looking foolish. Somewhere along the way, being difficult to impress became confused with being mature. It is not. There's nothing sophisticated about emotional numbness. There is tremendous intelligence in remaining capable of awe. Technology did not steal wonder. We now carry access to nearly the entire recorded knowledge of humanity in our pockets. That should have created the most curious generation in history. Instead, it created the most distracted. We photograph sunsets before looking at them, record concerts instead of listening, film fireworks through screens, walk through museums checking notifications, travel across oceans, and spend the evening scrolling through what everyone else is doing. We have become extraordinarily good at documenting experiences we are barely experiencing. The problem is not technology. The problem is attention. Wonder requires attention, and attention has become one of the most contested resources on Earth. Everyone wants a piece of it. Advertisers, platforms, news, work, messages, notifications, algorithms. By the end of the day, there's nothing left for the moon. Wonder never left. Here is what I have begun to believe. We did not actually lose wonder. We buried it under responsibility, under disappointment, under schedules, under fear, under exhaustion, under the endless pressure to become useful. Somewhere beneath all of that, the child who once stared into a puddle is still there. You can feel it occasionally. Stand somewhere truly dark and look at the Milky Way. Watch lightning move across a distant horizon. See the northern lights for the first time. Hear wolves somewhere beyond the firelight. Watch a whale break the surface of the ocean. Hold the hand of someone you thought you might lose. Sit beside your dog beneath a quiet sky. Suddenly, adulthood disappears for a moment. You are simply there, looking. Something ancient inside you whispers, "Look at that." That voice never died. We just stopped listening. Learning to see again. Growing older does not have to mean becoming less amazed. Maturity is not the abandonment of wonder. True maturity is returning to wonder with the knowledge of how temporary everything is. A child marvels because everything is new. An adult can marvel because everything is temporary. That may be an even deeper form of wonder. The child does not yet understand that there will be a last summer with certain people, a last camping trip, a last conversation, a last time your dog meets you at the door, a last Christmas morning, a last sunset you will ever see. Adults know this, or at least we should. That knowledge should not make the world darker. It should make everything brighter, because impermanence is not an argument against wonder. It is the reason for it. Look again. The way back is incredibly simple. Slow down. Look again. Walk through a forest without needing to arrive anywhere. Watch a storm from the porch. Leave your phone inside. Pick up an interesting stone. Ask questions whose answers will not make you money. Learn the names of the stars. Sit beside a fire until it burns down to embers. Listen to rain. Watch your dog explore somewhere new. Look at old photographs. Write letters by hand. Stand beside water. Allow yourself to be impressed. Allow yourself to be curious. Allow yourself to say, I do not know. Allow yourself to say, that is incredible. The goal was never to become adults who had everything figured out. The goal was to become adults capable of carrying responsibility without sacrificing astonishment. To pay the bills and still look at the moon. To understand science and still be overwhelmed by the stars. To know how difficult life can become and still believe beauty deserves our attention. To experience heartbreak without becoming permanently hardened. To grow older without becoming closed. To know the names of things without believing the names explain everything. One day, every one of us will see our final sunset. We will not know it is the final one. There will be a last snowfall, a last thunderstorm, a last walk through the woods, a last time we hear someone we love laugh, a last night beneath the stars. The saddest possibility is not that these things end, it is that they were happening all around us for decades and we stopped noticing them. The world did not lose its magic when we became adults. We became distracted from it. The stars never became less astonishing. The forests never became less alive. The ocean never became ordinary. The moon never stopped being extraordinary. We simply became accustomed to miracles. Growing older should not be about leaving wonder behind. It should be about fighting our way back to it. Back through the schedules, back through the noise, back through the cynicism, back through everything that told us amazement was childish, until one evening we find ourselves sitting quietly beneath an enormous sky, watching the first stars appear, and for just a moment, we become the child again. Not because we have forgotten everything we learned, but because after everything we have learned, we finally understand how much there is left to wonder about. Jason Gray. I find that Jason's writings really fill me with wonder. And that's something that I'm so appreciative for his work, is that astonishment and curiosity and wonder that he brings into my life with his constant new output. It's just incredible, and I feel blessed for it, and I'm very thankful. And this writing that he wrote yesterday really hit home for me because I had a mountain bike ride planned, and it was going to be the first one since I broke my leg 5 months ago and had a rod hammered into my tibia. I hadn't really gone for a real mountain bike ride since then. And so I went. I read this writing and then I went. And it was just so congruent with what I was experiencing, because I realized that if I had had that injury a century ago, I may never have walked again. I may never have ridden my bike again. And so I was on the bike ride and just feeling so grateful, so much gratitude for being able to do it again, because it's one of my most favorite things in the world. And the sense of freedom and joy that I felt flying through the forest again is just undescribable. And I just was riding around giddy, noticing and appreciating so many of nature's wonders. The smell of the goldenrods, the taste of the trailside purslines that I nibbled on, the brilliant red color of a red velvet ant that I got to actually pet, the trickling of a creek, and it was just so beautiful. And another reason why I really connected with this writing is because I recently completed a practitioner level course for biofield tuning, which is something else that just fills me with wonder. And I'm astonished by the fact that it works and how extraordinary it is and the potential that it carries. I'm just filled with so much joy and inspiration from being involved with that work. I was in San Diego last week, and I got to visit the ocean and take that course. And it was so amazing to be around so many people that are so open and inspired and curious. And something that I love about biofield tuning is that it takes so many wondrous things in our world and that science has discovered and brings them into a practical modality that we can use to help ourselves and to help others. Yet we don't know exactly how it works. We see the impacts of it, and we can feel it when we have it done on ourselves, and we see how powerful it is for other people. Yet we don't truly know, and that, I think, is something beautiful about that practice. And powerful, because the world and reality are so much greater than we can ever understand. And I love that when I go into a session with someone, I'm asking, what wants to happen here? And I just open myself up to the possibilities and to what is needed by that person. And beautiful things have been happening. Just yesterday, I worked on someone who was a little hesitant and a little bit disbelieving in the work, I think. And I found that the areas that I worked on carried sadness and depression and saying yes when you shouldn't, things like that, overextending yourself. And they didn't notice a whole lot during the session, although when I did start working on the left side of their biofield in their heart energy center, they said, oh, my heart really started hurting all of a sudden. And I said, better out than in, and was present with them and held presence for what they were going through and completed the session. And they didn't notice a whole lot during the session, but when I talked to them later that day, they said, thank you for working on me. It helped. And that fills me with wonder. So thank you for being here with me today. It's good to be back at it. I'm glad to be recording again, and I'm so grateful.